Welcome back. We're discussing the mother of all trade deals between India and the European Union, which will be announced today when the official talks happen between Prime Minister Modi and Ursula von der Leyen, who is the European Commission President, and Mr. Antonio Costa, who is the European Council President. Ashok Sajjanhar, former diplomat, with us. Ms. Sonia Prashar is the Secretary General of the Federation of European Business in India. Andrewkpleung is a China strategist joining us. Mr. Sajjanhar, let me start with you first. Everybody's talked about the headline numbers, $2 billion people market. It's going to be a quarter of the world's GDP. Already we're trading 135 billion, expected to go upwards of 200 billion once this is signed. But aside of the headline numbers, this deal coming as it does now, why is it important and what signal does it send?
Yeah, thank you very much, Zaka, for having me. I think when we are talking about this trade deal, we should consider it not being a mere trade deal. I think it really signifies, sends out a very clear and a strong message that India and the European Union are determined to strengthen the strategic partnership. It is much beyond a trade deal. That is what I would like to suggest for your and your viewers' consideration. Because along with it, the underlying factor, as I think was brought out by Akansha also, is trust. So far, we have seen, particularly over the last 1 year since Mr. Trump came to power, that trust is one commodity that has been sorely missing in all the global interactions. So here you have the trade deal. You spoke about the headline numbers. They're very, very impressive. And so, I think that is going to be a very strong basis. But it is not only trade. And when you're talking about trade, it is also in terms with economy, it's also strategic cooperation, participation. So you have security defense agreement, you have mobility agreement. So, what are the two big issues that India has been having with the United States? The H-1B, that is in terms of your people who are going there, and also in terms of tariffs. Here, when Mr. Merz was here, what was he looking at? He was looking at Indian talent coming there. And I would suggest, that the dominance of the United States at, in tech field globally is to a very significant extent due to the Indian talent that goes there. If they are shunning the Indian talent, there are so many other takers for it. Definitely, Europe is one of them. If you permit, I'll just mention one case when I used to be ambassador to Sweden. And at that time, that was the first Zaka mobility agreement that we signed. And legally, Indians who were coming there, they became the largest numbers. And now we have signed this mobility agreement with a large number of countries. So Europe is looking for Indian talent. There is trust, there is confidence. As Ursula von der Leyen said in Davos, when you shake hands and you say that it's a deal, you consider it to be a deal, but not with Mr. Trump. So I think whether it is security defense, that is going to be another area. So I think these are all areas: trade, security, mobility, defense cooperation, Indo-Pacific. These are all areas which are the ask for both sides. So it's a win-win deal on each and every area.
Sonia Prashar, as somebody who represents European business here in India, of course, Indians have two questions which invoke their curiosity. One is that, what European goods get cheaper? Is it German cars, French wine, etc.? And vice versa also. Indian exports into Europe, particularly in labor-intensive sectors like textiles and garments, gems and jewelry, footwear and leather, if it's going to be zero duty across the 27 countries of the European Union, what may that mean for these sectors which are facing some stress recently?
Thank you for inviting me to this panel. First of all, the mood is very exhilarating and very vibrant here. We've got about 6,000 EU businesses active in India. And if I just compare the number to what is present in China, that is roughly about 3 times what is present in India. So with this deal, the market access is the most important priority. And as per our FEBI business sentiment survey, which is being released today, it is going to boost the confidence of the current investors, but also the ones who are sitting on the fence will also be looking at the market very, very intensely right now. And in terms of duties, of course, we will hear later once the press conference happens, but market access and also a major investment. So 95% of our respondents of the survey, they are all very keen to increase their investments over the next 5 years. because there is the confidence in demand growth, policy continuity, and the ability to scale profitability.
Ma'am, just give me 1 second. We're getting live pictures from the Rajghat where both
Sure.
Ursula von der Leyen and Antonio Costa have just arrived there. They're paying their respects to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. This, of course, is part of protocol. Every time there is a visiting head of state or head of government, the first port of call is Rajghat, where they pay their respects. And then, of course, they will head to Hyderabad House, where they will have the official talks with Prime Minister Modi and his delegation, the Indian delegation. It will have the Foreign Minister, Dr. Jaishankar. It will have the National Security Advisor and a whole host of other ministers and officials who are part of the Indian delegation. Of course, the European delegation has come with its largest set of CEOs as well, as they intend to announce the conclusion of the India-EU FTA negotiations. Yesterday, when I spoke to Mr. Costa, the European Council President, he did make a mention about what a great honor it was to be the chief guest for the Republic Day parade, and how he got to see the diverse breadth of India, whether it is the states which have put up their different tableaus for the Republic Day parade, or various sunshine sectors in India, which also got representation this time as part of the Republic Day parade, or the impressive military arsenal that was on display as well. So he had made a mention about how India's diversity is its biggest strength, and today they will be marking their official engagements with this visit to Rajghat, paying their respects to the father of the nation, Mahatma Gandhi. Like I said, in about half an hour's time, they're expected to go to Hyderabad House, where the delegation level talks will begin. I want to go back to our guest, Ms. Prashar. You were saying that European businesses obviously are very keen to expand their businesses here in India. 6,000 plus European businesses who already have a footprint. Obviously, we're expecting that number to significantly increase once this FTA is announced. But it's become also a world where trade is being viewed in sort of zero-sum games. American tariffs, China weaponizing supply chains, etc. I don't want to compare Europe-China trade to Europe-India trade, but is this also sending out a signal that at a time when trade is becoming very fickle, countries are not minding weaponizing trade, that India and Europe, two middle powers, if I can use that phrase, are sending a signal that we are upholding the global rules-based trading order, and that there will not be any unilateral change of the status quo when it comes to the change of the trading order, as it were, and that what businesses want, which is a stable, predictable sort of roadmap and framework for doing business, both India and Europe are going to give that to business through the announcement of this FTA. Ms. Prashar?
Yes, I also wanted to make a point that these companies from EU are not present in India. They've been for the last 5 or 10 years, but they've been present for decades here. So they looked at the Indian market with trust and reliability. But the fact that the EU-India FTA negotiations closure is being announced today, this will only boost the confidence of these companies as well. So it is, for me, it's almost like marriage vows being renewed, because this is not a new friendship. It's an old friendship which is being seen with a renewed vigor. And it's a perfect timing because with the multipolar world, with the current geopolitical situation, 2 large democracies, 28 states in India plus union territories, and 27 member states, and that's why it's also being called the mother of all the trade deals.
Let me get Mr. KP Leung, Andrew KP Leung's view also. He's joining us from Hong Kong. He's got a view on China. Obviously, this is, like I said, at a time when China has just announced, I think a few days back, its trade surplus, $1 trillion trade surplus. And clearly, countries around the world that do business with China are also concerned about the imbalance of the trade. India is certainly concerned, so is Europe. In fact, the European leaders were there in China last summer. I think President Macron was there in December. It's also a signal to China that we want a more balanced trade, that we can't be over-dependent on just one country for global supply chains. And those vulnerabilities were exposed during COVID and the years after COVID.
I think that there are 2 dimensions here, which are, of course, a game-changing kind of dynamics. One is, of course, the whole world supply chain and the world rule-based trading order have been totally disrupted, if not thrown out of the window. And of course, there is a collapse of trust as far as the European Union is concerned, in the long-established so-called transatlantic alliance between the European Union and the United States. Not only on the economic front because of tariffs, but also even on security. Witness what's happening to Greenland, belonging to Finland. So I think that this is a rebalancing, hedging, first of all, against an increasingly imperialistic and unilateral United States. But it's also a hedging against China because the European Union, of course, welcomes China as a trading partner. And you can see that a lot of European leaders making a beeline to China, but not to embrace China entirely because, again, China's ultra competitive products are destroying a lot of the industries in the host countries, and of course, apart from differences in ideology and so on. So, in a way, that is also a hedging, a rebalancing against over-reliance on China, as you mentioned, not least China's weaponization of the rare earths and supply chain. Not so much against the European Union, but because China wants to maintain total control to prevent these rare earths being re-exported from the European Union to the United States. But nevertheless, it would upset the global supply and value chain. So this mother of all deals is also a hedging against China.
All right, that's a great point. I want Ambassador Sajjan to weigh in on this as we get live pictures from the Hyderabad House, where we're expecting both leaders to arrive there about noon, which is when the official delegation level talks will begin. But this whole thing around rare earths, people have been talking about, the Ukraine deal, part of it being around rare earths, the Greenland deal being partly around rare earths, etc. But ultimately, it boils down to rare earth processing. That's what President Trump said in his address to Davos last week. A bulk of the processing, I think about 90% of the processing, happens in China. So if you're talking about reliable supply chains, what is the world doing to diversify its supply chain of rare earth processing away from China?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. If you permit, I'll just make one point on, what your earlier two panelists said about hedging. I don't know whether hedging would be the right word to use, because hedging would give the impression that you are doing it on a temporary basis because, it's a moving a platform and you are hedging, you're wanting stability for that period. I think this agreement that has been signed, of course, it is to take care of the uncertainties on the American side. It's also to take care of the uncertainties on the Chinese side. But it is a long-term agreement. It is not hedging in a temporary sense that you are doing it right now, and of course you could be compelled, or you could change it going forward. Coming to your question about what the other countries are doing, I think definitely there is a movement, and not only United States. Of course, the trustworthiness of United States has been put under a huge question mark, but whether it is India, Japan, Australia, it is when the Indian Prime Minister visited Africa, it visited South America, Argentina, Brazil, etc. There are all these rare earth mineral agreements that are being signed everywhere. So I think now there will be much greater focus, much greater investment that will go into that area. The last point I'll make here, Zaka, is you remember when the Quad first summit was organized in Washington, D.C., what were the three elements that were there? There was critical minerals, and critical emerging technologies. So, it has been with us, but the focus and the attention on that, in my view, has grown much greater because China has suddenly started weaponizing it.
Correct.
Otherwise, people thought that they would be able to have access to it as and when they wanted it.
Okay. I also want to play out a small excerpt from the interview that I did with Mr. Antonio Costa, he's the European Council President, and I asked him to qualify for our viewers why this is being touted as the mother of all trade deals and what may this mean both for Europe and for India. I want to thank our guests for joining us this morning.